G'day everyone and welcome to the DUC Migrating to Australia podcast. On this episode, I'm joined by Bree Back. Bree is a DUC Relocation Agent and she does the home searches for people that are moving over to Sydney. On this episode, we're going to cover the DUC Relocation Home Search Service and life in Sydney. Welcome, Bree.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
No
It's really
worries.
nice
Thanks
to
so much for joining.
Wonderful.
How are things in Sydney? What's the weather like right now? It's midwinter.
Yeah, and it is quite wintry today actually. It's quite wet and chilly. We've got the reverse cycle aircon going. So but it's kind of nice, like because I think one of the things I sometimes miss about England is those seasons. So you do still get a bit of that here in Sydney, which is nice.
I think I saw in the news that you guys have had quite warm weather for a couple of weeks though.
Yeah. I think a lot of people I've been talking to have said it's unusually warm for this time of year. So not into coats yet, just jumpers, which I think is pretty unusual for this time of year. But I do think that I think in the snowfields they're still expecting quite a bit of snow this year, which is nice. So I think it's good that you get the best of like everything here in Sydney. Like you're quite close to the mountains. You've still got the beach. It's still like beautiful going for walks, even when it is a bit chilly. So yeah.
It is an amazing place. Cool. So the way that we'll do this for the listeners is we'll just have a little chat with Bree first about her own migration journey, about where she lives. Then we'll talk through the home site service and how Bree helps clients to secure a house in Sydney. And then we're just going to have a little chit chat about Sydney and what to expect, those kinds of things. So, Bree, what's your own journey?
Yeah, so I guess my journey is a little bit different to a lot of the other relocation agents. So I am actually, despite the accent, Australian. I grew up on the Gold Coast and left following completing my university degree. So I went to London at the ripe old age of 21 and didn't come back until a couple of years ago. So I'm not a Sydney sider, but my stepmom had a home in Sydney when I was growing up, and so I know it pretty well. My husband is British, and he during lockdown we kind of decided that we weren't sure what was going to happen. So he started to apply for his spouse visa, and it came through so quickly, quicker than we expected. So we kind of packed our bags, and he was lucky enough to secure a job before we moved over here in Sydney. And we made the move with our 3 kids, and it's just been amazing. I think we both feel like we should have done it 10 years ago, quite frankly. But hindsight's a beautiful thing.
It sure is. It sure is. Yeah. I think my journey to Australia was about 12 years in the making, and I
Wow.
wish that we'd moved over when our children were like either not born or were babies, because I'm really jealous when I see people with small children just running around on the beach. It's just really kind of free for kids. Whereas when I moved
Yeah.
over, our kids were like, my youngest was 7 and my eldest was 9. So they were they still like the parks and stuff, but I still would like to have like babies and stuff.
Yeah. I think
Strange.
also, like, I've noticed the kids, I've got a 6-year-old, and that's, like Australia is just everything for him. Like, he can't imagine living in the UK. But my older 2, they're 14 and 16. And I think they kind of missed out on really getting into that Australian way of life with all the sports and things like that
Mm.
growing up. But I think it's just so much to do that's free here, isn't there? And I think that's kind of amazing, and something I'd maybe taken for granted. And coming back in your 40s, and you kind of appreciate it all a lot more. And so I feel grateful that our journey coming to Australia was probably a bit more straightforward than it is for a lot of other people, but it still wasn't, yeah, without challenges. But definitely, yeah, do appreciate it more as an adult.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. We'll get into a bit more about the lifestyle in Sydney, but first of all, do you want to just describe how you help people to secure a house in Sydney?
Yeah, sure. So I guess I've been doing this relocation agent role for over a year now, and I basically start by having an initial chat with people to understand what's bringing them to Australia, and where they're hoping to live. A lot of people generally have a good idea because they've either secured a job or they have family here, or some sort of connection. But other times, it's kind of providing a bit of an idea to people where they might like to be based on lifestyle. And yeah, so I help them with everything in the moving process. So securing a home before they arrive so that they've got a soft landing. So going to the viewings on their behalf and putting in the applications, and just guiding people most of the time, because realestate.com is so misleading sometimes. And, you know, some of the photographs, they're not always as they seem. And there's little things, sometimes properties look really beautiful online, and then, um, the street or is like really, next to something not so nice. So I just try to guide people by being really honest and open. And yeah, the home search is definitely a journey. So yeah, I kind of liked going on that journey with people and helping them.
Yeah, so with the DUC home search service, we offer a few different packages. We offer our full home search service, which is basically finding out where you want to live, doing the searches for you, doing the applications right through to securing you a property. We also do an application only service, which is something that's useful for if you or you have someone to do viewings on your behalf, and the relocation agent will use the expertise that we have to do the applications for you to help to secure that house. And we also do a single viewing service. So that's something where you might want to do the applications yourself. You're not in Australia or you can't do the viewings, um, because you do have to view a house to be able to apply for a property here. So we'll do the viewing for you, send you the photos and videos and feedback, and then you can go ahead and apply for the property. The most popular service by far is our full service. So basically, that just takes the stress away from you. We do it all, and then you land in Australia and you have a house to move into. And some people might do the application only service and may pepper in a couple of the single viewing services as well. Depending on what service you want, we can help pretty much throughout Australia. There's for the full service and the single viewing service, we obviously need to have a relocation agent in that area to be able to do the viewings for you. So the best thing to do is if you click on the link in the description, there's some more information and there's an information pack. And there's also a form that you can complete. The form, you can put all the information in to let us know about what help you need and where you want to move to. Try and be as specific as you can with areas and suburbs, because that helps us to check the availability with the correct relocation agent. So we'll get that form through and then we'll come back to you, and either someone from the team or the relocation agent will come back to you to advise of next steps. Yeah, so let's move on a little bit to Sydney, Bree.
Yeah.
Um, I've been to Sydney, so I live in Adelaide, which is obviously in South Australia. I've been to Sydney 3 times. I absolutely love it there. Like, it's definitely somewhere that I would love to live. My kids are settled, so maybe one day that'll be something that me and my husband might consider. I've got aspirations of Watson's Bay. That's never going to happen. Um, for listeners, Watson's Bay, if you don't know, you can get this ferry, and it takes you to this amazing place called Watson's Bay. Have a look on Google at the beaches and the houses, and you'll see what I mean.
Yeah. It's like Millionaire's Row.
That's right. So I think that's like, in my mind with Sydney, that's how I see it. It's like it's really easy to get around. You can get a ferry to lots of different places. It's green. It's almost like got that kind of like subtropical feel to it, I would say, and just like
Yeah.
amazing beaches, amazing lifestyle. How about you, Brie?
Yeah, I think being a Gold Coast gal, I mean, I really wanted to go there, but I was pleasantly surprised by how much I love Sydney. It's just so many different parts to it. We are based on the northern beaches, which is, if using Manly as sort of your iconic area, we're just north of Manly, but it's so beautiful, and feels like a trip across the harbour going to work is kind of like, you know doesn't feel like work, feels like a holiday. And I think it's got the mountains, you've got the beaches, you've got lots of little different areas, I think is the thing. We in the UK, we lived quite close to London, so we were quite used to going into London. And I would say like Sydney has a bit of a London vibe about it, but it's definitely not as busy, and it's much easier to get around. And but you've still got all those little lovely different pockets of places that give you something different, and each suburb sort of has a different feel. Um, yeah, and I think it's by far the best city in Australia.
I actually agree. I think that you can't beat it in Australia. It's just something about Sydney, and like you said, it has got that London vibe, but it's nowhere near as busy, and it's so
No,
much cleaner. So
definitely
much.
cleaner. I think one of the things I noticed since being back is I don't fear going to a public toilet here in Australia. It's that it's not going to be amazing, but it's definitely not going to be really awful. So,
And it'll be
um,
free.
yeah, and free.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, I went
Um,
back to London last year. So I went back to UK last year for the first time in 6 years. And I
yeah,
was shocked at like how much I had to pay for that I would never pay for in Australia. So parking everywhere to use the
yeah.
toilet. And then you try to find a toilet and there is just no toilets anywhere.
Oh, I know. Yeah. It's those little things, isn't it, that
Yeah.
make a
Yeah.
difference. But
So
yeah.
do you go on like many day trips?
So I mean, we have definitely gotten into the Australian way of life where we're just back to back sports on Saturdays and Sundays for the kids. So we haven't done a lot of day trips, but when we first moved over, we obviously, went up to the Blue Mountains, which is really beautiful. I've done a few weekends away with family, so up to like the Central Coast. So everything's just easy to get to, it feels like. Although I think sometimes I think Australians don't really think very much of like a 3.5 hour drive, but it's pretty hard going. The country's massive, so sometimes those sort of trips away are maybe not as easy as in the UK, but you just get like going into the countryside is just so beautiful here, and you can still have where we've got a trip planned in a couple of weeks to the Hunter Valley, and just to get that little bit taste of England, sit by a fire, have our Christmas in July, and so you've got like everything. You can really like have a taste of everything here in Sydney, and the beaches are just so stunning. And I think what I did in the school holidays with my little boy is we just did loads of bushwalks, and you can just walk to all these amazing places, like hidden beaches that you can only get to on foot. So it's just like a really nice, like active outdoor lifestyle, I think.
Yeah, it's so good for children like that. So like just so many parks, free barbecues, just facilities. Um,
Yeah,
Even
absolutely.
around like a place like Darling Harbour, you can walk around it. There's a massive, massive kids park that's all free.
Yeah, there's always things going on there for free. Like this school holidays, they've got an ice skating rink. They've got loads of activities, and I think that is the thing. Like you say, it's all free. These are the sorts of things like in the UK you'd be paying for, which is just incredible.
Yeah. What about the weather? Is there like a rainy season? Is there a dry season? How does it work in Sydney?
Yeah, so I think it's more Sydney's definitely quite seasonal. And we're now end of June. It's quite chilly, and that sort of starts around May time, I would say, after Easter. And but I think by September you're coming out of that, so it's not like a long, dark, deep winter. So it's all yeah, it's all relative, but it's kind of nice to have that break. And then, the hot season starts sort of Christmas time. And I think last year we had sort of the hottest day, which I think was like over 45 degrees or something. But, you're all good if you've got your swimming pool or you're at the beach. It's all easy to deal with, not like the heat wave they're having in
Mm.
London at the moment where it just looks horrible.
Yeah, you
Um,
actually acclimatise here, don't you?
yeah, I think so. I think quite quickly too, which is surprising.
Yeah, which is why you feel cold when, it gets below about 18 degrees or something like that.
Yeah, I
Everyone's wearing
know.
coats and jumpers and things, whereas in the UK, you'd be out sunbathing and having a barbecue.
Exactly.
Stunning.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. So, is there a particular area where people tend to want to live, Brie?
I think obviously it really depends on where your job is located a lot of the time. But a lot of younger people that are wanting to come over and live in Bondi. Understandably, it's beautiful, and they want that beachy lifestyle. Other times, if you're based at one of the hospitals, a lot of people tend to go to the west of Sydney. But really, like, in terms of getting around Sydney, you're not looking at a huge, massive commuting time, but I would sort of tend to steer people towards, living in a location nearer to where their workplace is, just because it just makes life so much easier, and you get that more time after work and at home with your kids.
Yeah. Is there like a standard kind of house, or is all the houses pretty much different as well?
Um, it really depends on the area. So, over there's a lot of new builds in Australia, obviously, but you've got where I'm living on the northern beaches, like a lot of larger homes with and very open plan living. But then, down near the airport, you might have an older style properties, which are you know, really nice and have a few more features. And it really, I think it sort of depends on what you're looking for, but there really is kind of like a something to suit everybody. You know, Areas like Mossman tend to be a bit more sort of colonial style, I've noticed, which is really beautiful. But yeah, it's sort of what whatever you're kind of looking for, you can kind of find in Australia. One of the things is that when you're looking for a larger home, sometimes the layouts can be a bit of a sticking point for a lot of people, but just because they are very different to UK homes, where sometimes you'll have some living areas, so bedrooms downstairs as well as upstairs, and you get a lot of bungalow kind of style as well. But yeah, I think if you keep an open mind, you'll definitely find what you're looking for.
For sure, for sure. I know what I was going to say. I was going to say when we were talking about the weather, you guys have daylight savings there as well, don't you?
Yes, we do. Which, yeah, there's always a period where my husband still works between here and the UK. So there's always a period where it's slightly easier and then when it's slightly harder.
Mm.
But yeah, the days, I think that's one of the things that's surprised me is that the days can be quite short, and they get dark quite early. But, we're coming out of that now. So it doesn't feel like it lasts very long, is what I would say.
Yeah, so not every state in Australia has daylight savings. I believe it's Victoria, South Australia, New South Wales. not 100% sure on Tasmania or ACT, but I know for sure Queensland and Western Australia don't have daylight saving. So what that means is it's a bit like in the UK where our clocks do change. So we do get like those summertime hours. But I would say that it doesn't stay light to the extreme that it does in the UK. In the height of summer in the UK, sometimes it's light until about 11 o'clock at night. But I think in
Yeah.
Australia, it's probably dark by about 9 o'clock ish, around
Yeah.
that kind of time. But
Takes a
it
little
definitely does make a
adjustment.
difference.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
and it just makes the winter a bit more stark because we spend so much of our year with lots and lots of sunshine, really hot weather, and the daylight savings. That when we do have the clocks that go back and it is winter time, it does definitely feel, oh, it's dark really, really early.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's nowhere to the extreme of the UK where it can be dark by about 3:30 at the height of winter, which is awful.
Yes. I think it's that leaving in the dark and coming home in the dark. Do not miss that at all.
Yeah, bringing your kids home from school and it already being kind of dark and having the
Yeah.
lights on. I think it's really nice over Christmas in the UK because you definitely need all those lights. It makes it feel very Christmassy. And Christmas in Australia is probably not the same if you do come from England. Like, this is my seventh Christmas coming up, and I prefer Christmas in the UK.
Yeah.
But that's just because of the lights and the feel of it. But the weather in the UK over Christmas is normally like really damp and dismal. It's not really snowing or crisp or anything like that. It's pretty miserable. Whereas in Australia, it's the middle of our summer. It's in the school holidays as well, so everyone's in
Yeah.
holiday mode. It's just got a completely different feel to it. It's all outdoors, air conditioning on, hot weather, barbecues, etc., etc. So yeah, it still feels a bit strange to me though. But what I do like is I do like the daylight savings that we get here in South Australia as well, which means that like in the evenings we can go and watch the sunset over the sea and eat outside and things. It's a really good way of living for
Yeah,
sure.
definitely.
Yeah, yeah. All right. So I think that's a nice little episode just talking about Sydney and about the home search service and everything. So Bree is your lady if you need help with moving to Sydney and need somewhere to live. Like I said before, there is a link in the description. You can click that and we'll get back to you. Cool. So thanks so much for joining us, Bree.
Thank you for having me.
No worries. Thanks so much for joining us, everybody, and catch you on the next one.
Thank you.